Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ. A very warm welcome to you on behalf of Vatican Media, Vatican Radio, and all my colleagues here at the Vatican Dicastery for Communication. I'm Sean Patrick Lovett. It's my privilege to provide the commentary for this live broadcast of the Holy Mass, presided over by Pope Francis on this, the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God, on the first day of the year. So a very happy and peaceful and wonderful New Year to all of you. On whatever platform, medium, or device you may be following this celebration, please know we're delighted you could join us. We especially welcome our friends of Catholic TV, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World TV, EWTN TV, Catholic Faith Network, Telecare TV, and CBS News, as well as all of you listening on local radio stations around the world. Know that this broadcast is available right now on our Vatican News portal, which you can access at vaticannews.va. The Salve Mater Misericordiae introduces us to this celebration as the procession makes its way through the nave of St. Peter's Basilica. Again, we're celebrating the Feast of Mary, the Mother of God. Mary was declared Mother of God in the Council of Ephesus in 431, and it was Pope St. Paul VI who restored the celebration to January 1st. He did that in 1974 with an apostolic exhortation, Marialis Cultus. If I may repeat some of what he said in that exhortation, it's particularly beautiful. This celebration, he says, placed on January the 1st, in conformity with the ancient indication of the liturgy of the city of Rome, is meant to commemorate the part played by Mary in this mystery of salvation. It's also meant to exalt the singular dignity which this mystery brings to the Holy Mother, through whom we were found worthy to receive the Author of life. It's likewise a fitting occasion for renewing adoration of the newborn Prince of Peace, for listening once more to the glad tidings of the angels, and for imploring from God, through the Queen of Peace, the supreme gift of peace. In fact, today is also the World Day of Peace, a feast day of the Catholic Church dedicated to universal peace and held on January the 1st. And again, it was Pope St. Paul VI who established this commemoration in 1967. He was inspired, he said, by the encyclical of Pope St. John the 23rd, Pacem in Terris. The day was first observed on January 1st, 1968. The Pope references the image of the Christ child here placed before the altar, placed here on Christmas Eve. The image of the baby Jesus is placed on an altar enthroned together with the book of the Gospels. A beautiful image that reminds us that here is the Word made flesh. The Salve Mater Misericordiae hails Mary, Mother of Mercy, Mother of God, Mother of Forgiveness, Mother of Hope, Mother of Grace, and Mother full of holy joy. The Pope reverences the altar with the incense, wearing simple white liturgical vestments with blue decoration, blue of course being the color that we associate with Our Lady. And present at this celebration, a group of children dressed as the Magi, as the kings. This is a tradition that goes back to the 16th century in Germany. In fact, these children come from Aachen in Germany. And since 2001, a group of children from Germany have been present at this celebration on the 1st of January. The tradition springs from the fact that back in the 16th century, children would take gifts to other less fortunate children. But let's begin the celebration now with the sign of the cross.
Fratres, agnoscamus peccata nostra, ut aptissimus ad sacra mysteria celebranda.
Miserere nostri Domine, quia peccavimus sibi, ostende nobis Domine misericordiam Tua, et salutare Tua nobis.
Miserator nostri omnipotens Deus, et dimissis peccatis nostris perducat nota vitam aeterna.
Amen.
Oremus. Deus, qui salutis aeterne Beate Mariae, virginitate fecunda, humano generi premia praestitisti, tribu e quesumus, ut ipsam pro nobis intercedere
And after singing the Gloria, the Pope now prays the Collect. God, who through the fruitful virginity of Blessed Mary bestowed on the human race the grace of eternal salvation, grant, we pray, that we may experience the intercession of her, through whom we were found worthy to receive the author of life, our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son. And now the Liturgy of the Word. The first reading is taken from the book of Numbers. It will be read in French. If you wish to follow in your missals, it's chapter 6, verses 22 to 27. The theme, they are to call down my name on the sons of Israel, and I will bless them.
Lecture du livre des Nombres. Le Seigneur dit à Moïse, « Voici comment Aaron et ses descendants béniront les fils d'Israël. Que le Seigneur te bénisse et te garde. Que le Seigneur fasse
The Lord
briller
spoke to
sur toi son
Moses and
visage.
said, Say this to Aaron and his sons. This is how you are to bless the sons of Israel. You shall say to them, May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord uncover his face to you and bring you peace. This is how they are to call down my name on the sons of Israel, and I will bless them. The responsorial psalm is Psalm 66, and the response is, O God, be gracious and bless us.
Dio abbia pietà di noi e ci benedica. Dio abbia pietà di noi e ci benedica, su di noi faccia splendere il suo volto, perché si conosca sulla terra la tua via, fra tutte le genti la tua salvezza.
God be gracious and bless us, and let your face shed its light upon us, so will your ways be known upon earth, and all nations learn your saving help.
Gioiscano le genti e si rallegrino, perché tu giudichi popoli con rettitudine e governi le nazioni sulla terra.
Let the nations be glad and exult, for you rule the world with justice. With fairness you rule the peoples, you guide the nations on earth.
Ti lodino i popoli, o Dio, ti lodino i popoli tutti, ci benedica Dio e lo temano tutti i confini della terra.
Let the peoples praise you, O God, let all the peoples praise you. May God still give us his blessing till the ends of the earth revere him. The second reading is from the letter of St. Paul to the Galatians. We'll be listening to it in German. It's chapter 4. God sent his Son, born of a woman.
Als die Zeit erfüllt war, sandte Gott seinen Sohn, geboren von einer Frau und dem Gesetz unterstellt, damit die freikaufe, die unter
When the
dem Gesetz
appointed
stehen,
time came,
und damit
God
wir
sent
die
his Son,
Sohnschaft
born of a
erlangen.
woman, born a subject of the law, to redeem the subjects of the law and to enable us to be adopted as sons. The proof that you are sons is that God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit that cries, Abba, Father, and it is this that makes you a son. You are not a slave anymore, and if God has made you son, then he has made you heir. As the deacon carries the book of the Gospels in procession to the ambo, we hear the Gospel acclamation. At various times in the past and in various different ways, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets. But in our own time, the last days, he has spoken to us through his Son.
Dominus vobiscum. Lectio Sancti Evangelii secundum Lucam.
We will hear the Gospel proclaimed in Italian. It's the Gospel according to Luke. The theme, they found Mary and Joseph and the baby. When the 8th day came, they gave him the name Jesus.
In quel tempo i pastori andarono senza indugio e trovarono Maria e Giuseppe il bambino adagiato nella mangiatoia. E dopo averlo visto, riferirono ciò che del bambino era stato detto loro. Tutti quelli che udivano si stupirono delle cose dette loro dai pastori. Maria, da parte sua, custodiva tutte queste cose, meditandole nel suo cuore. I pastori se ne tornarono, glorificando e lodando Dio per tutto quello che avevano udito e visto, come era stato detto loro. Quando furono compiuti gli 8 giorni prescritti per la circoncisione, gli fu messo nome Gesù, come era stato chiamato dall'angelo prima che fosse concepito nel grembo. Verbum Domini.
That reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke was chapter 2. The shepherds hurried away to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in the manger. When they saw the child, they repeated what they had been told about him, and everyone who heard it was astonished at what the shepherds had to say. As for Mary, she treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds went back, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen. It was exactly as they had been told. When the 8th day came, and the child was to be circumcised, they gave him the name Jesus, the name the angel had given him before his conception. The Holy Father blesses the congregation with the book of the Gospels, and we prepare now to listen to his homily. I remind you that you're joining us here with the Vatican media for this Holy Mass presided over by Pope Francis on the feast of Mary, the Mother of God.
Quando venne la pienezza del tempo, Dio mandò il suo figlio nato da donna. Nato da donna, così è venuto Gesù. Non è apparso
When the appointed time came, God sent his Son, born of woman. Born of woman, thus came Jesus. He did not appear in the adult world, but as the Gospel tells us, he was conceived in the womb. There he made our humanity his own, day after day, month after month.
Anche ora in cielo Gesù vive nella carne che ha preso
In the womb of a woman, God and humanity united so as never to leave each other again. Even now, in heaven, Jesus lives in the flesh that he took in his mother's womb. In God, there is our human flesh.
In Dio ci sarà per sempre la nostra umanità e per sempre Maria sarà
On the
la
first day of the
madre di
year,
Dio.
we celebrate this union between God and man that began in the womb
Questo è
of a woman.
l'essenziale.
In God,
Da lei
there will be
donna
forever
nasce
our
la
humanity,
salvezza.
and forever
E dunque
Mary will be the
non
mother
c'è
of God.
salvezza senza la donna. L'Iddio
She is
si è
woman
unito
and
a noi.
mother. That is
Se
what is
vogliamo
essential.
unirci a Lui,
From her,
si passa per
woman,
la stessa
salvation
strada.
has come, and therefore there
Per
is no
Maria,
salvation without
donna e
woman.
madre. Perciò iniziamo l'anno del segno
There
della
God has
Madonna,
joined us, and if we want to join him,
donna
we must
che
go
ha
down the same
tessuto
path.
l'umanità di Dio.
For Mary woman, and mother. So let us begin the year in the sign of Our Lady, the woman who wove the humanity of God. If we want to weave humanity into the web of our own day, we must begin again with woman. Born of woman, the rebirth of humanity began with a woman. Women are sources of life, yet they are continually offended, hurt, raped, forced to prostitute themselves, and to suppress the life they carry. Every violence inflicted on women is a desecration of God, who was born of woman. From a woman's body came salvation for humanity. From the way we treat a woman's body, we understand our level of humanity. How often a woman's body is sacrificed on the profane altars of advertising, profit, pornography, exploited as a surface to be used. It must be freed from consumerism. It must be respected and honored. It is the noblest flesh in the world. It conceived and gave birth to the Lord who saved us. Today, motherhood even is humiliated because the only growth that interests us is economic growth. There are mothers who risk perilous journeys to desperately try to give the fruit of their womb a better future, and they are judged as surplus numbers by people whose stomachs are full of things, but whose hearts are empty of love.
La donna giunge al culmine della creazione, come il riassunto
born of woman. According to the Bible story, woman appears at the culmination of creation, like the summary of the whole of creation. She embodies the purpose of creation itself, generating and protecting life in communion with everything, taking care of everything. This is what Our Lady does in the Gospel today. Mary, says the text, treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. She treasured everything: joy at the birth of Jesus, sadness at the hospitality denied in Bethlehem, the love of Joseph and the amazement of the shepherds, the promises and uncertainties for the future. She pondered everything in her heart, and in her heart put everything in its place, even adversity, because in her heart she settled everything with love and entrusted everything to God.
Questa ripetizione ci fa capire che custodire nel cuore non è un bel gesto che la Madonna faceva ogni tanto.
In the Gospel, this action of Mary returns a second time. At the end of Jesus' hidden life, it's said that his mother kept all these things in her heart. This repetition makes us understand that keeping something in her heart was not just a beautiful gesture that Our Lady did from time to time. It was her way of being. It is natural for women to take life to heart. Women show that the meaning of life is not to continue producing things, but to take to heart the things that are already there. Only those who look with the heart see well, because they know how to see inside. The person beyond their mistakes, the brother or sister beyond their fragility, hope in difficulty, God in everything. As we begin the new year, we ask ourselves, can I look at people with the heart? Do I care about the people I live with? or do I destroy them with gossip?
promozione, le ricchezze.
And above all, do I have the Lord at the center of my heart?
Solo se la vita ci sta a cuore, sapremo
Or am I
prendercene cura
obsessed
e
with
superare
money and
l'indifferenza
success?
che ci avvolge. Chiediamo questa
Only
grazia.
if life is close to our hearts will we know how to care for it and overcome the indifference that envelops us.
E se vogliamo un mondo migliore, che
We
sia
ask
cassa
this
di
grace
pace e non
to live the
cortile di
year
guerra,
with the
che
desire
stia
to care
a
for
cuore
others,
la dignità di ogni
to
donna.
take care of others. If we want a better world, a
Dalla
world
donna
that
è
is
nato il
a house
principe
of
della
peace
pace.
and not a courtyard of war,
La donna
let us
è
cherish the dignity of
donatrice e
every woman.
mediatrice di pace e va pienamente associata ai processi decisionali.
From woman was born the Prince of Peace.
Perché quando le donne possono trasmettere i
Woman
loro
is
doni,
the donor and
il mondo si
mediator
ritrova
of
più
peace
unito
and
e
must
più
be
in
fully
pace.
associated with decision-making processes.
Una conquista per la donna, per la
Because
donna
when
è
women
una
pass on
conquista
their
per
gifts,
l'umanità intera.
the world finds itself more united and more at peace.
Nato da
A
donna.
gain for women is a gain
Gesù
for all
appena nato
humanity.
si è specchiato negli occhi di una donna, nel volto di sua madre. Da lei ha ricevuto
Born
le
of a
prime
woman,
carezze.
Jesus,
Con lei ha
just
scambiato i
born,
primi
mirrored
sorrisi.
himself in the eyes
Con
of a
lei ha
woman in the
inaugurato
face
la
of his mother.
rivoluzione della tenerezza.
He received his first
La Chiesa,
caress from
guardando
her.
verso il bambino, è
He
chiamata
exchanged his
a
first
continuare.
smiles with her.
Anche lei,
With her,
infatti,
he inaugurated
come Maria, è
the
donna
revolution of
e
tenderness.
madre. La Chiesa è donna e madre. E nella Madonna ritrova i suoi tratti distintivi. Vede lei immacolata e si sente chiamata a dire no al peccato
The
e alla
Church,
mondanità.
looking at the baby Jesus, is called to continue in the same way. She too, like Mary, is woman and mother, and in Our Lady she finds her distinctive features. She sees her, Mary Immaculate, and is called to say no to sin and worldliness. She sees her, Mary, fruitful, and feels called to proclaim the Lord, to generate him in life. She sees you, Mother, and she feels called to welcome every person as her child.
Le differenze, le ideologie, I pensieri da parte.
Coming close to Mary, the Church finds herself, finds her center and her unity. The enemy of human nature, the devil, tries instead to divide, putting in the foreground differences, ideologies, partisan thoughts and sides.
Dalle ideologie, dalle funzionalità. Ne coglieremo qualcosa, ma non il cuore della Chiesa.
But we do not understand the Church if we look at her in terms of structures, programs, and trends. We may grasp something, but not the heart, because the Church has a mother's heart. And we children invoke the Mother of God today, who gathers us together as a believing people.
Donna della salvezza, ti affidiamo quest'anno, custodiscilo nel tuo cuore. Ti acclamiamo, Santa Madre di Dio. Tutti insieme, per 3 volte, acclamiamo la Signora in piedi, alla Madonna.
O Mother, generate hope in us, unite us. Woman of salvation, we entrust this year to you. Keep it in your heart. We hail you, Holy Mother of God. And Pope Francis invites the entire congregation to stand up and to invoke Our Lady 3 times with this salutation. We hail you, Holy Mother of God. Holy Mother of God. The fitting salutation on this, her feast day, the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God. Celebrated here in St. Peter's Basilica, presided over by Pope Francis on the first day of the year, the feast of Our Lady as Mother of God, and also the World Day of Peace. The theme of the Church is Mother and women as bearers of peace, underlining the Holy Father's homily that we heard a moment ago. Here in St. Peter's, we're invited to spend a few moments in silent reflection as we meditate on the words that we've just heard, words that found their source in the Gospel reading. When the appointed time came, God sent his Son born of woman. And this was the phrase that recurred most often in the Pope's homily. Born of woman. The rebirth of humanity, he said, began with woman. Women, the Pope said, are sources of life. The Pope spoke about motherhood being humiliated and how our world is so obsessed with economic growth. And yet, in the Bible, woman appears at the culmination of creation, he said, like the summary of the whole of creation. She embodies the purpose of creation itself. We continue now with the celebration of Holy Mass, with the singing of the Creed.
Fratelli carissimi, lodiamo la divina maternità di Maria e per sua intercessione rivolgiamo al Padre la nostra preghiera filiale.
We join our prayers now to the prayers of the faithful.
Oremus pro sumo pontifice.
The first of which we'll be hearing in Chinese, and it's a prayer for the Pope and for bishops.
上主，透过宗徒之后圣母玛利亚的传
Lord,
导，
through the intercession of Mary, Queen of
求
the
你光
Apostles,
照
enlighten,
支持
sustain, and
并
sanctify our
圣
Pope
化
and our
教
bishops.
宗及各
May
位
they
主
guide
教，
their brothers and sisters with true
使
faith
他们怀
and
着坚定
heroic
的信
charity.
德和非凡的爱德，引领弟兄姐妹。
Dominum de precem.
Oremus pro
The next prayer will be read for us in English, and it's a prayer for government leaders.
Lord, through the intercession of Mary, Queen of Peace, put an end to wars and all expressions of hatred. May all government leaders and their peoples live in justice and fraternity.
Dominum de precem.
Oremus pro matribus.
A prayer now for mothers, read for us in Malayalam.
ദൈവമാതാവായ മറിയത്തിന്റെ മധ്യസ്ഥയാൽ എല്ലാ അമ്മമാരെയും അനുഗ്രഹിക്കുകയും
Lord, through the intercession of Mary, Mother of God, bless and console every mother. May the life they have given be radiant with your light.
Dominum de precem.
Oremus pro
A prayer now for sinners and those who do not believe, read for us in Spanish.
Oh Señor, por intercesión de María, refugio de los pecadores, reconduce
Lord,
a
through the
todos
intercession of
los
Mary,
dispersos
refuge of
a la
sinners,
perfecta
restore
comunión
to
contigo,
perfect communion with you your sons and daughters who have strayed from you. May every man and woman enjoy the beauty of your forgiveness.
Oremus pro personis
And finally, a prayer for
consecrati.
consecrated persons, read in Polish.
Panie, przedstawiennictwo prześlicznej Maryi, przyodziej świętością
Lord, through the intercession of
osoby
Mary,
konsekrowanej.
all beautiful, clothe all consecrated men and women in holiness. May their lives speak to everyone of the joy of the gospel.
O Padre in Maria, che ha donato al mondo Gesù, hai fatto risplendere la potenza della tua grazia. Accogli la nostra preghiera e rendici partecipi della vita eterna. Per Cristo nostro Signore.
As we join our own prayers to these, the Holy Father sums up, praying to God our Father. In Mary, who gave the world the gift of Jesus, you have shown forth the power of your grace. Receive our prayer and grant us a share in eternal life. The liturgy of the Eucharist begins now with the offertory chant, O Magnum Mysterium, O great mystery and wonderful sacrament. And again we see these children dressed as the Magi. Again, a reminder that this is part of an ancient German tradition. In fact, the children come from Aachen in Germany, and this tradition has been reenacted ever since 2001. The tradition is that they are the ones who bring up the gifts to the altar, the gifts that will be used during the consecration. And it recalls an ancient tradition whereby children would give gifts to other children not as fortunate as they are. Yesterday evening here in St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Francis closed the year 2019 with evening prayer and the singing of the Te Deum. He also delivered a homily in which he urged us to contemplate the presence of God in those who cry out for assistance. He reflected on how God chooses those on the margins of society, in the smallest of cities, to enter our world. God's decision is clear, he said yesterday evening. He chooses a small city, a despised place, and when he reaches Jerusalem, he joins the population of sinners and castaways. The Pope said that Jesus' birth and hidden early life are an invitation to reveal his presence within our own cities, because he's never left them. It's we who must ask God the grace to have new eyes, capable of a contemplative gaze, a gaze of faith, which sees God dwelling in our homes, streets, and squares. God, said Pope Francis, lives in our midst. He walks with us constantly, and his faithfulness is concrete. God chose to begin the work of salvation, said the Pope, in the womb of a small, poor woman of his people, not in the greatness of the temple. This choice of God is extraordinary, said Pope Francis. He doesn't change history through the powerful in civil and religious institutions, but beginning with women on the margins of the empire, women like Mary. Our own response, said the Pope, should be to work for peace and to help those in need. The Lord rejoices seeing how much good is accomplished each day, how much energy and how much dedication we put into promoting fraternity and solidarity. Speaking specifically about the city of Rome, the Pope called it a complex city with its share of problems, inequalities, and tensions, a place where God sends his word to impel us to believe, to hope, and to love, while fighting for the good of all. And of course, this message can be applied to your city, wherever you live, wherever you're listening to this broadcast, anywhere in the world. God has never ceased changing the history and the face of our cities, says the Pope, through the population of the least and the poor who live in it. He chooses them, motivates them to action, impels them to create support systems, to build bridges and not walls. The Pope said, God is calling our local churches to connect with others and to listen to what they're living, to hear their cry for help. Loving others Through listening, said Pope Francis, is one way we can recognize the action and presence of God in those around us.
Orate frate sut meum, aves un sacrificium acceptabili fiat apud Deum Patrem omnipotente.
Suscipiat Dominus sacrificium de manibus suis, ad laudem et gloria nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostra, tot iusque ecclesiae sue sancte.
Deus, qui bona cunta inquas benignus et perficis, da nobis de solemnitate sante Dei genitis dilettantibus, ita de perfectione gaudere, per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo,
Sursum corda.
habemus ad Dominum,
Gratias agamus Domino Dio nostro.
ignum et justum est.
Vere digno iustum est equum et salutare, nos tibi semper et ubique gratia sagere, Domine Sancte Pater omnipotens aeterne Deus, et in maternitate beate Mariae semper Virgines collaudare, benedicere et predicare. Que et unicenitum tuum Sancti Spiritus obumbratione concepit, et virginitatis gloria permanente, lumen aeternum mundo effudit Iesum Christum Dominum nostrum. Per quem Maestatem Tuam laudat angeli, adoram dominationes, tremum potestates, celi celorumque virtutes, ad beata serafim socia exultatione concelebrant, con quibus et nostras voces, ut admite lluvias deprecamur supplice confessione dicentes. Te dicitur clementissime Pater, per Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Dominum nostrum, supplices rogamus ac petimus, ut accepta habeas et benedicas ec dona, ec munera, ec santa sacrificia elevata. In primis, que tibi offerumus pro Ecclesia Tua Santa Catholica, quam pacificare, custodire, adonare, regere digneris toto orbe terrarum. Una con me, digno famulo Tuo, que Ecclesiae Tue preese voluisti, et omnibus orthodoxis, atque catholice et apostolice fidei cultoribus.
Memento Domine famulorum famularumque tuarum. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est et nota devotio. Pro quibus tibi offerimus, vel qui tibi offerunt hoc sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et incolumitatis sue, tibique redunt vota sua, eterno Deo, vivo et vero.
Communicantes et diem sanctissimum celebrantes, quo Beate Maria intermerita virginitas, huic mundo edidit salvatorem, sed et memoriam venerantes, in primis eiusem gloriosa semper Virginis Mariae, genetricis eius Dei, et Domini nostri Iesu Christi, sed et Beati Iosef, eiusem Virginis Sponsi, et Beatorum Apostolorum ac martyrium tuorum, Petri et Pauli, Andreae, Jacobi Ioannis, Thomae, Jacobi Philippi, Bartolomei, Mattei, Simonis et Taddei, Lini Cleti Clementis Sixi, Cornelii Cipriani, Laurenti Chrysogoni, Ioannis et Pauli, Cosme et Damiani, et omnium sanctorum tuorum, quorum meritis precebusque concedas, ut in omnibus protectionis tuae muniamur auxilio.
Anciditur oblationem servitutis nostri, sed ecronte familiae Tuae quae sumus Domine, oplacatus accipias. Diesque nostros in Tua pace disponas, alquam eterna damnatione nos eripi, et in electorum Tuorum iuvia cresce in numerari. Quam oblationem Deus, in omnibus quesumus benedictam, ascriptam, ratam, rationabilem, sabilenque face dignet, ut nobis corpus et sanguis fiat dilectissimi Filii Tui, Domini nostri Iesu Christi. Qui pride quam pateretur, accepit panem in sancta sac venerabile manus, et elevatis oculis in celum, a Te Deum Patrem Suum omnipotent, tibi gratia sage, benedixit, flegit, dedique discipuli Sui, dice, accipite et manducate ex hoc omnes, hoc est enim corpus meum, quod pro vobis tradetur. Similimodo, postquam cenatum est, accipiens et per clarum calice in sancta sac venerabilis manus, item tibi gratias agens benedixit, dedique discipuli Suis, dice, accipite et vivite ex eo omne, hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, novi et eterni testamenti, qui pro vobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. O facite in meam convas.
Mysterium Fidei.
Resurrezione in confidere
Sed memoris Domini nos servi Tui, sed plebs Tua sancta, et justem Christi, Filii Tui, Domini nostri, tam beate passioni, nec nunc et ab inferis resurrectione, sed et in celos gloriose ascensione, offerimus preclare majestate Tue, de Tuis donis sagratis, ostiam puram, ostiam sanctam, ostiam immaculatam, panem sanctum vita aeterne, et calice saluti perpetua. Supra quae propitio sereno vult respicere digneris, et accepta avere sicut accepta avere dignatus est, munera pueri Tui justi Abel, et sacrificium patriarchae nostri Abrae, et quod tibi obtulit summus sacerdus tuus Melchisedec, sanctum sacrificium immaculata nostra. Supplices te rogamus omnipotens Deus, iube per ferri, per manus sancti angeli Tui, in sublime altare Tuum, in conspectu divine majestatis Tue, ut quod ex hac altaris participatione, sacrosanctum Filii Tui corpus et sanguinem subseribus, omnia redemptione e gratia repleamur per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Memento etiam Domine, famulorumque Tuarum, qui nos preceserunt cum signo fidei et dormiunt in somno pacis. Ipsis Domine et omnibus in Christo quiescentibus, locum refrigeri lucis et pacis, ut indulgias deprecamo.
Nobis quoque peccatoribus, famulis Tuis, de multitudine miserationum Tuarum sperantibus, partem aliquam et societatem donare digneris, cum Tuis sanctis apostolis et martiribus, cum Ioanne, Stefano, Mattia, Barnaba, Ignazio, Alexandro, Marcellino, Petro, Felicitate Perpetua, Agata, Lucia, Agnete, Cecilia, Anastasia, et omnibus sanctis Tuis, intra quorum nos consortium, non estimator meriti, sed venie, quesumus largitor admitte, per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Per quae nel omnia Domine semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedicis et prestas nobis.
Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est ibi Deo Patri omnipotenti, in unitate Spiritus Sancti, omnis honor et gloria, per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Precepti salutarius moniti e divina istituzione formati, audemus dicere.
Pater noster, qui ex in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et
Libera nos quesumus Domini ab omnius malis. Da propitius pacem in Diebus nostris, ut per misericordiae Tue adiuti, et a peccatum simus sempre liberi, et ab omni perturbatione securi. Expentantes, beatam spem, et adventum Salvatoris nostri Iesu Christi. Domine Iesu Christe, qui dixisti apostolis Tuis, pacem relinquo vobis, pacem meam do vobis. Ne respicias peccata nostra, sed fidem ecclesiae Tue, e anque secundum voluntatem Tuam, pacificare et coadunare digneris, qui vives et regnas in saecula saeculorum. Pax Domini sit semper vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Oferte vobis pacem.
The deacon invites us to share a gesture of peace, a moment for all of us to reconcile ourselves with those we may have offended, those who may have hurt us, and to confirm that all peace, all forgiveness comes from the Prince of Peace.
Ecce Dei, ecce qui tollis peccata mundi, beati che al cielo agni vocati sunt.
Domine non sunt dignus, ut intre tecum meum, sed tantum hic verbo, et salavitur anima mea.
As the priests begin distributing Holy Communion among the congregation here in St. Peter's Basilica, we listen to the Communion antiphon, rejoice, O daughter of Zion, lift up praise, daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your King will come, the Holy One and Saviour of the world. During this moment of communion here in St. Peter's Basilica, it might be time to remind you that you are listening to a live broadcast of the celebration of Holy Mass on the Feast of Mary, the Mother of God. This is also the World Day of Peace, January the 1st, a dedication that was established by Pope St. Paul VI in 1967. Since then, the popes have traditionally promulgated a special message for the World Day of Peace. Pope Francis has done 7 since 2014, and certainly if there's one common theme that runs through all of Pope Francis' World Day of Peace messages, it's that of Christian hope. His first message was published in 2014 and is addressed to all individuals and peoples, wishing them a life filled with joy and hope. The key word of that message is fraternity, which Pope Francis calls an essential human quality. Without fraternity, he says, it's impossible to build a just society and a solid and lasting peace. In his message for the 2015 World Day of Peace, Pope Francis dwells on what he calls the scourge of man's exploitation by man that destroys fraternity and the common good. The Pope decries how millions of people today are deprived of their freedom and are forced to live in conditions akin to slavery, despite the international community adopting numerous agreements to the contrary. The Pope's message for the 2016 World Day of Peace is an invitation to overcome various forms of indifference, recognizing the conflicts that constitute what he calls a real Third World War fought piecemeal. The Pope invites us not to lose hope in our human ability to conquer evil and to combat resignation and indifference. As an antidote to indifference, the Pope proposes building a culture of solidarity, mercy, and compassion. Peace, he writes, is the fruit of such a culture. the sound of Silent Night in the background, we continue to reflect on the Pope's World Day of Peace messages. The message for the 50th World Day of Peace in 2017 focuses on making active non-violence our way of life. When victims of violence resist the temptation to retaliate, they become the most credible promoters of non-violent peacemaking, writes Pope Francis. Active non-violence, he says, is a way of showing that unity is truly more powerful and more fruitful than conflict. He dedicates his 2018 World Day of Peace message to all those who are willing to risk their lives in order to find somewhere to live in peace. He's referring to refugees and migrants, and asks us, in a spirit of compassion, to embrace all those fleeing war and hunger by welcoming, protecting, promoting, and integrating. The Pope's message for World Peace Day last year opens with a challenge to those who hold political office. If exercised with respect for the life, freedom, and dignity of people, political life, he says, can indeed become an outstanding form of charity. And again, hope is at the heart of Pope Francis' World Day of Peace message for this year. Peace, he writes, is a great and precious value, the object of our hope and the aspiration of the entire human family. Hope, he concludes, is the virtue that inspires us and keeps us moving forward, even when obstacles seem unsurmountable. After that beautiful rendition of Silent Night, one of the world's favorite Christmas carols and one of Pope Francis' personal favorite carols, the song that's been translated into over 300 different languages, we await the final prayer after communion. A reminder that you are listening to this live broadcast coming to you from St. Peter's in the Vatican, the celebration of Mass presided over by Pope Francis on this, the feast of Mary, the Mother of God.
Oremus. Sonsimus Domine leti sacramenta celestia, presta quesumus, ut ad vita nobis proficiam sempiternam, qui beatam semper Virginem Mariam, Filii Tui genitricem et Ecclesiae Matrem, profiteri gloriamur. Per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
And now the solemn blessing which will conclude this celebration.
Domino Vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Inclinate vos ad benedictionem.
We're invited to bow our heads for the blessing.
Deus fons et origo totius benedictionis, gratiam vobis concedat, benedictiones
May
tuae.
God, the source and origin of all blessing, grant you grace, pour out his blessing in abundance, and keep you safe from harm throughout the year. May he give you integrity in the faith, endurance in hope, and perseverance in charity, with holy patience to the end. May he order your days and your deeds in his peace. Grant your prayers in this and in every place, and lead you happily to eternal life.
Et benedictio Dei omnipotentis, Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti, descendat super vos et maniat semper.
Amen.
Ite missa est.
The final hymn is the Alma Redemptoris Mater. It's the Marian antiphon. Loving Mother of the Redeemer, Gate of Heaven, Star of the Sea, assist your people who have fallen, yet strive to rise again. To the wonderment of nature you bore your Creator, yet remained a virgin after as before. You who received Gabriel's joyful greeting, have pity on us, poor sinners. And as we listen to the Alma Redemptoris Mater, we take our leave of you at the conclusion of this live broadcast, coming to you from Vatican City, St. Peter's Basilica. Our next commentary in English will be at 12 noon, when we hope you'll be able to join us for the Holy Father's Angelus address. Do remember that this and other events are available on our Vatican YouTube channel and Vatican News portal, where you can find summaries of the Holy Father's discourses and homilies, including this one. You'll find us at vaticannews.va. Thank you for listening and for joining us. Our friends on Catholic TV, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World Television, EWTN TV, Catholic Faith Network, Telecare TV, and CBS News. Until very shortly, on behalf of Vatican Media and Vatican Radio, I'm Sean Patrick Lovett, wishing you every blessing and a peaceful and happy New Year. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ.
Thank you.